Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Options Professor podcast. This is Damien, and I thought I'd put together a quick video on the strategy through my trades. And so if you're tuning in to my weekly podcast every Sunday to look at the watch list, and then the Friday podcast to look at my results through the week, this will help you understand a little bit more around the types of plays, the types of indications I'm looking for in my trading strategy. Okay. So first of all, I'm really looking for short-term momentum. Okay. This is just really 1 to 2 weeks, weekly trading. I'm not looking any further than the Friday coming up or the following Friday. So I'm really just looking at 1 to 2 weeks. I'm also looking for direction that's already established. And so I'm not going to guess whether a stock is about to turn around or reverse direction. I'm looking for something that's already moving in the direction that I've identified, either bullish or bearish. I'm also anticipating velocity. Okay, so it's okay for some of my stocks to trade sideways, especially if I do a credit spread. Sideways movement is okay, but I still want a little bit of velocity to in the direction that I'm forecasting. And obviously, if I see a lot of velocity going in one direction, then I would either buy calls or puts or do a debit spread. Okay. Now, when you're seeing me look at stocks, I'm always calling out a target price. So there is a target price of where I think that that underlying can move to, either up or down. I'm always identifying that target price. Option strategies, very easy. I'm strictly looking at vertical spreads, either a credit spread or a debit spread, and it really depends on how much premium I'm getting. And then lastly, I really want to have high implied volatility, especially if I'm collecting credit. I want to have high implied volatility because then this gives lets me know that there's going to be movement in that stock. And even if I'm buying, so if I'm buying options that have high implied volatility, that's where you would see me typically go to a debit spread. It offsets that premium, high cost and premium. All right, and then the time frames. I know you see some of my charts every week, and they are set mostly to the hourly chart. And so that hourly chart for me is the 1 to 2 week duration, and these are a little bit faster moving with smaller price changes. So those targets are going to be scaled for the 1 to 2 week duration, the hourly chart. If I switch over to the daily chart, that means I'm looking more towards the 4 to 6 week duration. And obviously slower moving with larger price changes. So I'll have a higher target because that range over 4 to 6 weeks is going to be a lot bigger than 1 to 2 weeks. But what about other time frames? Well, it doesn't really matter. The 5-minute, 15-minute, 30-minute, everything I'm looking at, all my indications are really just going by moving averages, which measures the bars. And what I found is that when I'm looking at my indicators, I kind of average it out to about 10, 20, or 30 bars. And so then you just adjust that to the time frame that you're in. Okay. Now, what is your definition of success? I know that everybody who's watching this have seen other podcasters or YouTubers put in their measurements of success, but I want to know what your measurement of success is. Because I see emails like this. You know, I made $8,000. I made $30,000. I made $5,000. And to me, these are all clickbait because although they're great profit, it doesn't really tell me how much they put at risk to make that money, right? What is that percentage of profit? The percentage of profit to the risk that they're putting out. And so if I risked $1 million to make 8,000, is that a good indication of success? What about the time frame? If I made $30,000, but it took me 2 years to make that $30,000, is that a better indication of success, or if I do the same 30,000 in 6 weeks. Now the time frame makes a big difference, right? So if I make $30,000, I'd like to know what that time frame is, and I'd like to know how much was at risk. So the percentage of profit is way more important to me than the actual dollar value, because I'm not sure what you're playing with in your portfolio. Does it really line up to my portfolio? Does it really matter? But if we look at just the percentages, then you can scale that to the size of your portfolio. And also the time, right? So I'm looking at 1 to 2 weeks, and you guys can see from my podcast that I actually make, anywhere from 30 to 50%, and sometimes even more, week to week. And that is my measurement of success. That's my goal. And so for us to really understand how well we're doing as a trader, we want to, of course, measure that profit, but we want to also measure it against the risk and time. Two important things for me as a trader of measuring my success. Now, as I mentioned, I'm going to target, roughly anywhere from 20 to 50% profit every week across multiple trades. I'll typically do 5 to 10 trades, and targeting, again, at 30 to 50%, and sometimes even more. I want to be able to double my investment every month, or at least have the potential to do that. I'm going to be making high probability trades where I'm able to manage the risk and the profit ratios. So I understand how much I could make and understand how much I could lose. And these are very defined. That's why I like to do these in spreads. I find that for me, the spreads keep me on target, on track for a specific time period, and keeps me on track for specific targets that I've identified from week to week. Now, if you are going to be trading alongside with me, just know that I always understand what my best and worst case scenarios are. And you would be better off knowing what your best case and worst cases are for each of your trades. All right. So let's talk about my watch list and the price targets. So I'm running my own scanners. If you're a student of mine, or you're in one of my groups that I participate in for callouts, then you will know that I'm looking for momentum. Obviously on that 1 hour chart, 1 to 2 weeks, like I mentioned. I always look for the upper resistance or the lower support. So if I can identify the support and resistance, then I move to average true range or the Keltner channel to help me identify where those target prices could move to, either on the upper side or the lower side of that Keltner channel. Other things I take a look at, obviously, are notable news. If there's news coming up, if there's earnings, I like to look at the futures to give me an idea of where the futures are headed, where the market is headed, and then the overall market, SPY, QQQ, NASDAQ, and then the industry sectors. So we've seen rotation of sectors happen. And so I'd like to understand what a certain sector is doing. And every week I'm looking for both bullish and bearish stocks. Even though this market right now is going up, there are still bearish stocks that can be found. And so I will always identify bullish stocks and bearish stocks every week. And now here in my podcast, if you haven't tuned in already, or if you tuned in and you don't really understand the differences. So every Sunday night, I look for stocks to put on my watch list for that current week. And these are, again, 1 to 2 weeks out. So I may be looking to get into these for an expiration of that Friday or the following Friday. I'm obviously identifying key levels of resistance and support, and again, that target of where it can run to. And the option strategies I'm doing are either long calls puts or debit credit vertical spreads. You could expect to see anywhere from 3 to 5 different stocks that I'll be watching for that week. And sometimes it changes. Monday morning happens and all of a sudden that chart looks completely different. And so that will change throughout the week. But at least the Sunday watch list gives you an idea of some of the stocks I'll be watching. Sometimes I get into a majority of those through the week, and sometimes I can't get into any of them because they've just moved too fast or they change direction when the stock opened Monday morning. Now, Friday, I do a weekly recap. And this is where I review the trades I made during the week. These trades are trades I've actually taken and closed. And then I review this based on the profit or loss percentage. So every week I'm going to go through and review these, and whether I'm right or wrong, I'm going to cover them because maybe I can learn from those stocks that went down. Okay, it's always about continual improvement. So that is really an intro to my strategy, the things I'm looking at week to week, and the two podcasts I run every Sunday and Friday. I hope this was helpful for everyone. If you like this strategy or you'd like to see my watch list, please subscribe and hit that thumbs up button.